Howdy folks, welcome to the channel Rockin' the Country. I'm Don. I am so looking forward to this one for the simple reason that it's a clapback. And it's not going to be nasty, I don't think, but it goes like this. David Piccolo made a gift to the channel for me to do this song and reaction. So firstly, David, thank you for this gift and the request. It's the Castellows song, Sheltered. I've done the Castellows before, but I don't know the song Sheltered. And David said that the sisters were homeschooled and were continually called sheltered. And this is their response to that. Now, I've heard that argument too about people who are homeschooled, and I know people who are homeschooled, and they are incredibly well socially adjusted. So it just depends on how, your parents relate to you, and it isn't like they stay in a room all day. They go out, play with friends, they have play dates, all this kind of stuff. So in any case, there are pros and cons in everything you do in life. There are trade-offs. And some parents say, you know what, I'm going to oversee their education so that they're not possibly indoctrinated into whatever school district they live in or whatever the reasons are. But I want to make sure that they learn reading, science, math, history, and the things according to the textbook. So anyway, that's why I like this, because sort of like homeschoolers get a bad rap. And if you look at a lot of the people who win like spelling bees, a lot of the folks are homeschooled and they take education seriously. So anyway, whatever it is, I'm going to swap hats. I don't know why people take exception to so many different people. If parents want to homeschool their kids, it's their kids. I don't know. People like to invent problems. But I got a live acoustic version, David. There were other versions available that I could have used, but I'm like, I want to see their faces when they sing this. So here we go. Interesting.
One, two, three, four.
5 in one take. They did this in one take. I love that part of it too.
Sleeping on a blow-up mattress in the town where no one knows my name. Nothing but a dream and a Blue Ridge and a cloth in a picture frame. I went to college for a piece of paper. I didn't even learn a thing. I went to school at home, so I taught myself to sing. Maybe I'm sheltered, maybe I'm foolish, maybe I don't understand. Maybe I'm a princess in your El Camino, driving through the promised land, through the promised land, past the silos. That's where we go, running wild and free, but you can shelter me.
Oh, you can shelter me. I like that turn of phrase.
I've got rhinestones sewed on a Sunday dress and light shining off the dirt. My sisters say that you're a little too wild. They don't want me to get hurt. I'll take my soul on this rabbit trail. I'll take off in this plane. Even though the city lights don't call my name. Maybe I'm sheltered, maybe I'm foolish, maybe I don't understand. Maybe I'm a princess in your El Camino, driving through the promised land, through the promised land, past the silos. That's where we go, running wild and free, but you can shelter me. You can shelter me. you can shelter me. Ooh, you can shelter me. Ooh.
He's walking. Oh, I wanted to see the whole thing because I thought they were going to keep playing. All right, so yeah, it was like the nice intro where she goes up, and then they cut it. But maybe they needed to cut it for some reason. But that was far more creative than what I was anticipating. I thought it was going to be more of like a straight line defense, but it was more a song that would convict somebody if they have a conscience who might have been giving them grief for, or even anybody who might have this idea that being homeschooled means you're going to be a social misfit. It does not. It doesn't. Not merely because I say it, but because these folks lead. I mean, look at their lives. You lead productive lives. There are trade-offs in life. Like Thomas Sowell has always said, there are no solutions. Like homeschooling isn't going to be a solution to all of life's problems. There's a trade-off. You're going to get educated better, most likely, in a home environment. Statistically, that just has been borne out. But are you going to make this diversity of friends, all these different friends and enemies and all that stuff? No. Does that mean you're completely a social misfit? No. I mean, there are a lot of bad memories that happen in grade school and middle school and high school, and there are good ones, and you make lifelong friends, but they're making lifelong friends too. But all right, so the rhinestone on a Sunday, I mean, there are certain things where I was trying to make the connection. The one line I really like, even though it could be taken in one of two ways: you can shelter me. I think that was their way of saying that you could call me sheltered. I mean, this is one way, and this is the way I took it the first time I heard it, is you can call me sheltered, you could say whatever you want. In other words, you could shelter me. You could just put me in this box if you want, but that's not me. The thing about the El Camino, though, driving by the silos and the promised land, I didn't fully get that, but maybe I think this was tongue in cheek. I'm not sure. I mean, they chose to shoot this in a church. So there is an element of, you want to call it cleanliness. I mean, the church was very different. It was not ornate. It was probably a non-denominational church. I can't say, but it sort of was meant to give an air, I think, of, look, we're trying in life. You could say what you want. You could think what you want, but it's, maybe you should check your own conscience. So yeah, man, I mean, this was more complex than I thought it would be, and I'm on a first listen. If I were to listen to it two, three, four times, I might pick up on more. I would pick up on more of the nuances of it, and but that line about she went to it was early in the song too, as I recall. She went to school, got a piece of paper, but didn't learn anything. And a lot of people do that, whether they go to public school, private school, or are homeschooled. And that's, in one sense, should I say it's their own fault? Partly, yes. Depends on what you major in. If you major in something that isn't going to yield much productivity in the workforce, then yeah, it's a waste of time. Hopefully you learn how to think and not what to think, regardless of what your major is. But there are some majors where I know you are taught what to think, and that is a great detriment, and that is just the downside to it. But she said that they went to school, so she taught herself to sing. And there you go. You do have some time to choose what you want to do. You don't have to go to music class where one teacher's trying to work with 25 different students and half the kids might be screwing around or disinterested in being there. But I mean, the promised land reference, is that where they lived? Like, is that another name for like Blue Ridge? Because I know she mentioned something in the beginning of the song about Blue Ridge, but running free. And maybe they're allowed that freedom too to experience like the earth and nature and all that in a different way that you wouldn't be in a school. So their education was different, but it was also broader and deeper in certain ways. That seems to be what's being said here. Now, she looked over at her one sister who led, the processional, if you will, at the beginning of the video. And I don't know the girls' names, the artists' names, the women's names, but she looked to her left over at her sister and kind of smiled. But one line was like, "My sisters say you're a little too wild." And initially, I thought she was referring to herself, that her sisters were saying that she herself, the lead singer, um, that they were saying she's a little too wild. And maybe they were, but maybe they were referring to the people in the schools that you're a little too wild. You're not really that disciplined. You think you're getting all this stuff going on, and in some ways, maybe you are, but other things, you're just not disciplined. But the part about the being a princess in your El Camino driving by the silos, that part I didn't fully understand. Is that like, if you're able to get me, like if some dude is able to get me, like I'd be a princess, but that's not, I mean, they're defending themselves against criticism. So necessarily, it wouldn't necessarily mean that. So I don't follow that strain of thought. So David, that was good. It was beautiful. And of course, they're beautiful girls. I mean, I'm 63 years old. So, I mean, I've probably got four surrogate daughters and one surrogate son. And they're, the girls are like 35, right in that same age range. And Will, my surrogate son, I'll call him that, is almost 30. And they're kids. But the ladies are beautiful. They harmonize well together. And talk about an advantage if you're being homeschooled together. You get to practice together all the time too. And you're not spending a lot of time in transit going to and from school. That's an advantage. And yeah, you can have fun on a school bus, but it could be torment getting on a school bus and waiting for it and being dropped off. If you're the 18th kid to be dropped off, you're spending, a half hour, 40 minutes on a school bus each way. And maybe they're practicing together. So I'm going to rate this. I liked it. It was very creative. This was not normal. I don't know where they are or where they're going with their careers, but I'm completely rooting for them. The number that popped into my head on this as a work of art was a 9.4. Plain and simple. So that goes in the playlist of songs of 9 and above. David, thank you for this, my friend. I look forward to hearing your thoughts. I don't know if I got the interpretation right. That's what it is to react to videos on one go, but I like the challenge. So there you go. All right, guys, have a great day. See you on another video. Keep rocking the country.
You can shelter me.